Hi everyone, we've got a jam-packed interview lined up for you today. And with me I've got Jessi Kahn, who is an online gamer. She's also a biokineticist and a coach. Welcome Jessi, it's so nice to have you. And we are just so chuffed to learn from you today about your gaming life and about Call of Duty and about all the ups and downs and highs and lows and all the good and the bad and the ugly. So can you tell us a little bit more about your life as an athlete, a coach, and a bio, and then obviously also a pro gamer?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've obviously got different spectrums of my life. Wake up in the morning, obviously want to go to gym to look after myself, my own body. Then I go to my practice, which because I'm a biokineticist, that's my main bread and butter. Yes. And then in the afternoon, that's my passion. I go and I coach. And from there I go back to work, finish my clients, wrap up there, and then I head off home, have supper, and I actually then start gaming. So from the gaming thing, it really came out of the blue. But it's something that isn't my main bread and butter, but it is an extra side income. So it's quite cool.
That's awesome. And how did you get into gaming? What started it all off?
So it was COVID. I used to game back in the day when I was a kid with my brother. So I have been exposed, PlayStation when we were young. We used to sit in front of the couch. Push the couch in front of the TV and just sit there the whole night and game. But that was awesome. Literally when we were like youngsters. And then I was also exposed to PC gaming when I was a teenager. But that was it. Then I carried on with my sporting life and career. And then COVID hit, and my brother said, let's download Call of Duty again, and we started playing together. And then from there, I was really bad at the game, so I wanted to learn more about the game, and what I did was then I watched other streamers.
Okay.
And that's how I learned more about the game. And I actually said to my brother, I'm like, what sets us apart, besides skill level, but what sets us apart currently from them to us? And he was like, well, there's a big gap in the market. You're a female.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. And that's how I actually got back into gaming.
That's incredible. And so how long would you game for in the evenings? How long do you spend?
So obviously with me, everything in my life is about balance. So I only have time, it sounds a lot, but it's not, for about 2 to 3 hours in the evening.
Okay.
With Call of Duty, you're busy playing for an hour and then you're only starting to get warmed up.
Yes.
So your accuracy and your eye starts to get in only really after an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You see, that will be very interesting for parents because kids sort of feel frustrated when parents tell them to switch off the game and get back to your homework. You actually only get warmed up and into it after an hour.
100%. And it also depends on the game mode you play. Okay. If you're playing BR, which is Battle Royale, one game lasts half an hour.
Yes.
So if you're only playing 2 games and you're not even warmed up yet,
you're not into it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 to 3 hours is all I can handle.
Okay.
I try to stream most nights, but obviously it's not my priority.
Yes.
Obviously my family and my work comes first. So if I feel like I'm exhausted, then I'll choose not to stream that particular night.
Okay, so you've got really good sort of you've got a very balanced thing going, and that's why we call you a healthy gamer, because you don't look like the typical gamer, It was actually so fascinating to me to learn that you're a gamer, because in my mind, you were associated with athletics and biokineticism and this healthy, young, beautiful lady. And, we have this terrible perception or this terrible stereotypes in our mind about a gamer being a fast food junkie that's living off energy drinks and gaming through the night. And you just don't really fit that mold.
Unfortunately, the whole energy drink thing is a real thing. It's like what happens is they generally sponsor the gamers, and so you're not wrong. There is a big stereotype attached to it.
Yes.
But I think this whole unhealthy sort of lifestyle that is put onto gamers is also it's a little bit unfair, because you can not be a gamer and also have an unhealthy lifestyle.
Of course.
And
yes.
so once again, it comes down to personality and choices.
Yes.
For me, I've just been brought up in sport, so my life has always been relatively healthy. Obviously, we always go and enjoy a bit of junk here and there.
Yes.
We've just decided this year to be extremely healthy. We've cut out all the sugar.
Yes.
So
So everything in moderation, basically.
100%.
Okay. And have you ever felt, many of these first-person shooter games, the algorithm is written to keep you engaged for as long as humanly possible. Have you ever felt like it's addictive or you can't get away from it, or have you just always had the ability to switch off and go and do something else?
Luckily, I'm an adult now, so it's easier for me to switch off when I should switch off.
Yes.
I think for kids it is a little bit more difficult, especially when a new game mode comes out. Because even for me, when a new game mode comes out, everybody wants to be there and we want to play it,
Yes.
So, but I do believe that it's all games. I don't believe it's just first-person shooter games.
Okay.
I mean, take those silly mobile games, those
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush, exactly.
So I've heard of people who play Candy Crush on the toilet at night.
You see?
Like when they wake up in the middle of the night.
Exactly. So I feel like it boils down to personality.
Yes.
The trait that you're in. For an adult, you obviously now need to know when to switch off. And if you're a parent, you need to set boundaries for your kids. There has to be boundaries. For me to say that, we should game 2 to 3 hours, it's not always viable for a child.
Yes.
If you find that your child is, getting through his homework, is playing a bit of sport, I feel it's okay to give your child a bit of gaming time.
And I mean, the fantasy element of it, when I was I was doing research for this interview particularly, and it's Call of Duty, World of Warcraft Call of Duty, what is it called?
It's Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare 2. Yeah. Okay, so I was watching Modern Warfare 2. Wow, and did I get sucked in? The visuals are so realistic. It's amazing. I mean, it looks like a movie. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like a game at all. It looks like a movie, and the cutscenes are so realistic.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So when you say a new game mode comes out, do you mean like a new storyline or a new area that you can enter in the game, or?
So it's different types of gameplay. So when I spoke earlier about Battle Royale, that's a big map, and you won't encounter a lot of gunfight in the beginning of the game, and you have to loot up, and it's just a lot slower. Then you get what we now finally came out and we're all excited about is Resurgence mode. So that means when you die, you respawn again.
Okay.
And it's so much better because you can go into the gunfight and not wait to be raised. Okay. And then there's also multiplayer. Okay. The multiplayer then is just smaller maps and you're playing like a 5v5 or 1v1 or so forth.
And do you play in multiplayer mode? Do you game with people all over the world?
Yes.
Okay.
I must say we've actually built quite a few good relationships with other streamers around the world.
Okay.
And it's actually been quite fun.
So you and your brother play together in a team?
Yeah, so we always team up. And then so there's different game modes. So you can bring in a quad, which is 4 of us. Yes. And then you play against, I speak under correction, I think there's 50 players. So that's 12 teams or whatnot of 4, and you all play against one another.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And I looked at the Common Sense Media score for Call of Duty particularly, and it was like 5 out of 5 for violence. It was like super violent. And they said because the cutscenes, there's one scene where people get tortured and I don't know what else. Do you think that it's appropriate for children or for adolescents? What age do you think would enjoy Call of Duty and be able to handle all of that violence?
I think as with movies, there are age restrictions. And same with the games, they put an age restriction on the game for a reason. Yes. So I do believe that the kids should stick to the games that are in their age limit.
Yeah.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is 18.
Yes.
Yeah, 16 or 18 or something. So I don't believe that the youngsters should be playing those type of FPS games. There's so many others that they can play where there's no gore, associated to it.
Even Fortnite, when you shoot someone, they just disappear off the screen. It's not as gory.
Exactly. So there are different options. Because obviously the kids do want to develop their reaction time as well. But there's a lot of different games that they can play, and then when they're older, they can then go into Call of Duty.
That's awesome. Do you ever dream of gaming?
That's a good question, because when I first started playing again, I kid you not, when I closed my eyes when I was in bed, my eyes actually were tracking.
Oh, really?
They were literally tracking.
Looking for the baddies to shoot.
It was actually quite hectic. And I phoned my brother the next day and I'm like, listen, is this happening to you? And he had been playing for more and he was like, no, in the beginning it does that. And it's obviously gone away now. So I still said back then that it's very interesting because if it happens to an adult, what is it actually doing to the kid?
Yes.
But then again, I also believe it's everything in moderation and it's development. I believe that kids should be exposed to everything.
Yes.
So sport, if they're not sporty, gaming, if they're not good in that, then they must be exposed to
culture,
playing a flute or whatever,
Yes,
Because if I believe that whatever you're exposed to as a youngster, you're ultimately going to get into down at a later stage.
Yeah, and so that you can also find your niche. You'll
Exactly.
I think you need to try everything at least, once, so that you can find your thing that appeals to you.
100%.
So what is your greatest gaming achievement so far?
We had a women's 1v1 tournament. A South African tournament which I won. So
Yay! We're sitting here with the South African champ of Call of Duty. I'm loving it.
That was hectic. I'm not going to lie. When you make the final and then it's based off 3 games, and it boiled down to I won one, she won one, and then it went to the final.
Oh,
It was so hectic, but then I won.
And how long was the last game?
I think it was a 2-minute or 1.5 to 2-minute games.
That's so short.
Yeah, so you
You
have
need to be so quick.
It's either the first to 20 kills, or the person who. Or if you ran out of time. That was the other thing. You either had to get 20 kills or the person with the most kills when the time ran out.
And could you hear her?
Only when you get close you can hear the footsteps, and only when you kill her can you hear her death comms.
Wow, that is so scary. That's terrifying. I love that you won. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was cool.
And were you chuffed?
I was pretty chuffed.
I'm sure.
That was
That's
cool.
awesome. So many parents and teachers would say that being a healthy gamer is a contradiction in terms, but you seem to get it right. And what do you do to be a healthy gamer? How do you remain mindful? How do you do yoga? How do you handle the mental? Because it must be very stressful to be playing for the best female in South Africa. That must be stressful. How do you handle the mental side of things?
I think because for me this is almost a side thing. It's not my main job. I think it would be a different story if it was my main job. Then that pressure would be on me to earn. At the moment it's a side income, so to me there's not much pressure on me. But like I said, I gym in the morning, get rid of all my excess energy in the morning. And if I've had a rough day and I'm exhausted, then I will choose not to stream. So I'm a firm believer in balance.
Yes.
And really, you got to listen to your body. So, yeah.
And your athletic background? Tell us a little bit about your athletic background.
So I coach athletics, and it's literally the only sport I didn't do. Literally.
That's really funny.
So I was a judoka. I got my black belt for that. And then provincial hockey and soccer player.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those were my main sports.
And do you think that you're a person that just likes to do things well?
I think it's almost born into you.
Yes.
I think we come from a very competitive family.
Okay.
And we always joke and we always say that everything is a competition. But obviously over the years I've learned to accept defeat and know how to lose.
Yes, handle.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with losing, but anything is a competition to me.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
A competitive drive, there's nothing wrong with it. I think a lot of people frown upon competitive drive these days, and it's almost not PC to be competitive. Yet, you do need a certain amount of competitive drive to be successful in anything.
100%. Yeah.
So, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think it is important to know how to lose as well.
Yeah, that's where people go wrong. It's when they struggle or when they don't know how to lose, and then that becomes almost like a depressive.
Yes.
To me, you never lose, you only learn.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Okay, so sometimes when I work with teenagers, they tell me that their real life and their gaming life sort of like infiltrates one another, and that they sort of lose a grip a little bit on what is real and what is not. So they'll play a Second Life game and they'll go into the grocery store and say, oh, I need to buy toothpaste. And then they think, oh no, actually I need toothpaste in the game. I don't need it in real life. And it becomes like a little bit blurred. Have you ever experienced that? And what is that all about?
I personally haven't experienced that. I think it's because I'm playing Call of Duty.
Okay.
I think if I was in like the military, it would cross lines. But I think now, because I'm playing a shooting game, it doesn't cross lines for me.
Yeah.
I think it could blur if you're playing something like GTA, whereby they drive through red robots, and then you now think that's cool, and then that's
that
possibly
becomes
where it could become reality. But for me, it's never crossed lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think your background in judo sort of is also part of why you enjoy Call of Duty specifically? Because it's sort of martial arts, and it's like,
I think it's the like the adrenaline
Yes.
to that specific game mode. So I'm like what we would call a pusher. I'm not a camper. Like I
Yes.
can't sit on one spot and, you know, just try and look for enemies and hide in a building. I can't do that. So
Okay.
we've actually had this conversation about different personalities, my brother and I, and we both are
Yes.
pushers. Like we're always going for, you know, to find people.
So you actually dictate the gameplay because you're
Absolutely.
going out there and you're making change in the environment.
and we want to find the enemies.
Okay, and then you find people who are just sitting around like waiting for you to cause
Yeah.
trouble. Okay.
Alternatively, it's very interesting because you could have a guy with a personality who's more sort of subdued, and he would maybe be more of the camper. It's actually very interesting.
That's very interesting. Do you
Psychology.
think that your personality in real life is also your on-screen persona?
Definitely.
Okay.
I definitely do not want to be something I'm not.
Yes.
That's one thing I've strived to be, is to be good at the game. I practiced for a year before I started streaming because I didn't want to
Yes.
be the typical female streamer, you know, wearing
Yes.
like low-cut tops.
Yes.
That's not me. So I
Yes.
really wanted to get better at the game, so I want to be known that I can play.
Yeah,
Not-
you want to be respected for actually
Yes.
being able to play the game
100%.
as opposed to like looking hot while you're playing the game.
Yeah, so I do try to put on who I really am. Like, this is what I'm going to coach in now, this is what I'll game in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so-
Yeah, that's amazing. And do you think that that counts for everyone? Do you think that your gaming personality, the guy who hides in the shed, is maybe like a little bit more reclusive, a little bit more socially awkward? Or do you think that the pusher is actually someone who in real life is a pusher and is a change maker?
I feel like there has to be an element of psychology behind it.
Yes.
Definitely. I don't think in every case,
Mm.
but I definitely believe that there's some sort of element to it.
And in terms of teamwork, the streamers that you get on board to work with you, are you very selective in choosing those people, or?
There's a number of things that come into play. If you're playing with an individual in America, and if I go onto their ping, my
Yes.
latency is going to be extremely high.
Okay.
So I'm going to be playing on 300 ping, which is huge for a first-person shooter game.
What does that mean?
So basically, if someone comes around the corner, I will only see them 300 milliseconds later.
Oh,
And that's
What?
huge. Yeah. So it's
so 300 milliseconds is huge.
it's huge, especially in a first-person shooter game. So it's very
because you're not going to
difficult.
react quick enough.
No, of course. So
because
you
it's taking time to get here.
so you literally have to
wow.
shoot, or you predict before they're coming.
What?
Yeah. So there's so many Americans I would love to play with, but that's the problem. You're going to look really bad.
You need to
meantime.
be there to be on their time.
Yes.
Oh, no way.
And if you're playing with people in the UK or in Europe, that's going to be 200 ping. So it's 200
Sure.
milliseconds. So you kind of have to get the people then to come on your servers. Then it's cool.
Okay,
Then they
okay.
play on high ping and I play on local
Yes,
ping.
yes, and you look good.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
that's limiting factors.
And that the lady that you beat in the SA Champs of Gaming, have you ever teamed up with her? Because you guys would make a formidable female team.
They actually spoke about doing another, like a 2v2, and she
Yes.
said she would like to do it with me, but nothing came of it.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe she could be your wing woman.
Yeah.
She sounds like she's got the skills.
Yes, yes.
Oh, it's been awesome. Thank you so much. So I want to ask one last question. And no, actually two. So one more. What benefits can gaming bring to a young person's life?
I think there is a sense of escape. Because I know that I had a minor op and I was out of work for a week, and
Yes.
gaming was just, it took my mind off it completely.
Yes,
So there's definitely an element of escape. And also maybe a little bit of getting rid of like your stress.
Yes,
So
stress
there-
relief.
Stress relief, yeah. So
absolutely.
there is definitely those.
Yeah, some
advantages,
benefits,
yeah.
And socialization, do you think?
It sounds funny, but you really do meet cool people.
Oh, that's
I haven't
awesome.
physically met them, but I've made one of my best friends is in Hull, Hull,
Yes.
in the UK, and she even invited me to her wedding. So it's crazy.
That's awesome.
we didn't end up going because it clashed with dates, but
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you meet awesome people.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, like when I speak to kids, I'm always warning them and saying, just be careful of your gaming buddy because it could be a catfish, it could be an online predator, it could be someone who wants to influence you negatively. You know, that's the narrative that we're always feeding. But you have to think of the positives as well, you know. I think that when a child has the knowledge to spot a catfish and know what catfishing is and know what an online predator does and know what grooming is, that then, you know, if they have the knowledge, they will be able to discern for themselves.
Definitely, and there's obviously signs to look out for. I mean, we're here to play games. We're not here to share pictures. You know, we're not here to get super personal. Obviously, I've now over a couple of years met people, but I would never send personal stuff to them. So there obviously are signs.
Okay, no, that's awesome. And then the last thing I want to ask is just, if you had the chance to give the youth of today one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think dream big. A lot of people, they scared because they think, you know, I want to become X, Y, and Z, and they think it's unachievable. Dream big, set goals, and achieve it, because I promise you, if you set your goals, you can achieve it. It happens. That's fantastic.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. You are a busy lady. You're a pro gamer. You are the female SA champ of Call of Duty. I love that. You are a biokineticist and you are an athlete. So I am so grateful that you took the time to come and chat to us today.
I
think you shed so much light on everything. And it's been so valuable. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And then if you've got a keen gamer in the home, go and check out our online course called Safety for Gamers and Cyber Surfers, and keep your gamer a healthy gamer like Jessi.